Hello, so today I wanted to do a very important video on empathy. Um, and this is something so heavy on my heart. So there's two things. One, the outer body experiences, from what I've read across the board, is that they are known to increase empathy. And I have them, like I was saying, every single day, multiple times a day. But two, this disease I've had has also greatly increased my empathy because understanding so many different cognitive things and physical things, because even going in and out of all these different brain activities, they resemble a lot of different mental illness. So I also am getting an understanding on a great deal of mental illness. And God spoke this to me today. I've had something on my heart, and I've been talking to Jesus about it. Sorry, my hair look crazy. You guys gotta tell me sometimes. Someone type in comments, Ash looking crazy, or like, fix your hair, we can't pay attention. You got two like weird things going on. So, I love a lot of people that have some pretty dark pasts. And when I say pretty dark, I mean, I know people from pedophiles to rapists to murderers to felons to people that have involvement in horrible things and involving children to crime bosses and everything under the sun. And I kept asking God, I'm confused because there's so many people in my life that I love and I have loved that have been horrible, downright horrible people that have done some of the most unforgivable things in the world. And I needed to know how, one, God saw them and forgave them. And I needed to know how I'm supposed to step out of this confusion, because I kept saying, God, like, are they good or are they bad? And some of these people are still living as these bad people. And some of these people have been saved by Jesus and are really good people that now are some of the best people you could ever meet. So I needed God to work on my heart of showing me of how he sees it, how I could see it. And like, God, if I'm looking at someone I love and they've done these things I know of that are things you see in a movie and the most heinous crimes, and I love them so much and I feel so safe around them, and they would never ever harm me or anyone, and these are some of the safest people in my life and I love them so much, but they do these heinous things. And God finally spoke to me, and it was through God speaking to me, but also through my disease, that I was able to get 100% clarity and healing, and able to like come to peace and move forward in my life with peace, and the confusion has gone away. So what I have learned through all this cognitive stuff is how mental illness works, and how when your brain shifts from different parts of your brain, how it literally changes you and you lose control. And there's a lot of people that do horrible crimes, all sorts of crimes, and we hate them and we think they're evil and they should die and be tortured in jail. And we even say, like, I can't wait till that awful person gets to jail because they're going to teach them a lesson. And we feel like this, and I've felt like this. And this is human nature to feel like this. And here's how God sees the people that do these horrible things. When I go into these different parts of my brain, like the theta brain or the Alzheimer's brain or the autism brain or all these different brains, I lose 100% control. 100% control. My free will is gone because I have no control. My brain is not controlling me. You don't control your emotions with this disease. You don't control your thinking process. Things are very weird. The other day I walked into the greenhouse and I was shocked because I stared at the tub. I thought I was getting in the tub, and all I could keep saying was, thank God I'm dressed, because in my brain, I was in the bathroom about to get in the shower, and all of a sudden I was standing in the greenhouse looking at Adam, and I kept looking down to make sure I had clothes on because I thought I was getting undressed and in the shower. So it's like my brain, I didn't teleport down here, I walked, but my brain was still holding on to the memory of me being in the bathroom to the point that I didn't know if I was even wearing clothes or not, and I was in a completely different room. So our brains are doing these crazy things. So with mental illness, when people with mental illness, schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, a lot of like the people in jail, a great deal, have mental illness. And I've spoken to a ton, hundreds of people that have been in jail that, very close to me, felons, and they'll all tell you a lot of people in jail just have mental issues. They're not criminals, they're not bad, they just have mental issues. When we go into these parts of our brain, we can't control what we say. We can't control how we act. We can't control what we do. We can't control where we go. We cannot control anything. So literally, I do believe good people could do horrible things because you don't know what's going on. You don't control it. You don't have a moral compass at the time. You don't have sensibility. You don't have logic. You don't have common sense. You literally don't even know if you're awake, if you're asleep, if it's real, if it's fake. You don't know what you're looking at. Your vision changes. Like, you could literally be, sorry, I keep getting texts, yourself that could be 100% Jesus loving, best person in the world, and transfer into these parts of your brain that you have zero control. So I do believe, and I know for a fact a lot of people in jail or that do these crimes, it's just mental illness. So I believe if you have people in your life that have done horrible things, you forgive them because Jesus forgives them. Because when what I've noticed, and again, I've been around hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that have done very horrible things, and I know people that have been in the leaders of the Aryan Brotherhood. I know gang leaders. I know everything from every walk of life, and mob bosses, and everything. I've been around what society would call the monsters since birth, and a lot of them have mental illness. And here's the thing. Here's one thing I've noticed about this group of people, and they don't know this about themselves. You're going to say, Ash, there's no way every single person with this mental illness, that they all have it, they all got together and made organized crimes and gangs, and they do these horrible things. I'm not saying that. One, there's just bad people. There's good, there's bad. Some people are just evil-spirited. So there's bad people in the world. There is a group of these people that do these horrible things that have split personality disorders, and they're not born with them. And here's what happens. So here's one example. When kids witness horrible crimes, like people being killed in front of them, or things a child should never see, they could develop a split personality disorder. And in this split personality disorder, their brain actually does this to disconnect, to protect itself. Now, even though I don't have a split personality disorder, my brain does a lot of things like the disassociation, the outer body experience, all different things to, when I'm in severe either emotional, mental, or physical pain, to protect itself and detach. So I know how a split personality disorder feels and looks to some degree, right? So a lot of these people that are in these gangs and mob life, they have been around this lifestyle since the day they were born. And at somewhere along the way, they were all born. You know, I always say monsters aren't born, they're created. So they were born healthy and normal. And somehow throughout childhood, through life, through the things they seen, through the things they knew in their family, again, you got to think like these people in gangs and mobs and stuff, They've seen it their whole lives. They've seen it, so they're loving people that do it. They're seeing all the people they love that treat them with love and kindness doing this. They're not viewing them as bad people, whatever. They just get into this life. And so now that they've been around this since childhood, most of them have developed a split personality disorder before they're teens or young adults, and they have no idea. And it's because the things that they know about their family, the things they know about their life, the things they've witnessed. A lot of people in the gang life at this point have already firsthand seen people killed in front of them, a lot. Actually, the majority of the people I've spoken to by young adulthood have firsthand witnessed a murder directly in front of them. Horrific murders, to people being shot 15 times in front of them, to a 5-year-old friend being shot 5 times right next to them. And the more I think about it, very few of them that I personally know have made it to young adulthood that they didn't firsthand witness a murder that either happened directly next to them or within a few feet of them, actually. And not only that, but again, the emotional stuff they know and carry. And the stuff that when you grow up in the streets that you see, you're watching this horrible thing. So now they develop this split personality. So now a lot of them, when they're doing these crimes, when they're doing these cold, heartless, horrific things, they're actually now in their split personality, that their split personality becomes like this alter ego to protect themselves. And a lot of times that split personality resembles an evil being, because now this is who in survival mode was made to protect them from the ultimate danger, the ultimate fear. So this person resembles someone cold and heartless and maybe evil and dangerous and very calculated and capable of evil things. So a lot of our loved ones, they're transferring into this split personality when they commit these horrific crimes, and that's why they might not even be able to kill a bug, but they could shoot someone right in the eyes and go home and eat dinner like nothing happened and not skip a beat. It's not because they were born monsters. It's this split personality through the trauma they witnessed through their lifestyle that created this other person. So you could forgive them and you could love them, and you don't need to be confused. And this is why Jesus forgives them and loves them. And this is why people in jail could truly change. And if you're talking to someone that killed 100 people or did these horrific crimes against kids and all these things, and you still want to be like, okay, I forgive them, but I don't like them, I want nothing to do with them. When you are changed in Jesus, that old person dies. That identity dies. That split personality dies. It's gone. You're not that person that did those horrible things. So you are forgiven. So we could just have a lot of peace in that. So again, that's just been heavy on my mind. So another reason I appreciate this disease is the insight that this has offered me, through the empathy and the compassion for some really bad people. I've been sitting here even understanding, and again, I think pedophilia is the worst crime known to man. I think there's no crime worse. I think murder, torture, all of those take second seat to pedophilia. But I do know that even God forgives pedophiles, because even them go in different parts of their brain that they're not themselves. They go into mental illness. They've experienced this trauma or split personalities, and some of them might hate themselves for doing these things, or hate themselves for having these feelings, or have these feelings and never ever act on them. But there are things that happen to our brain that make us horrible, and then Jesus could come in and then make us great. So no matter who we were, that person's gone. So when we get healed in Jesus, we are a different person. It doesn't matter anything that we've ever done. You know what I mean? Ever. So when you're in church and somebody's like, I was a drug addict, I was in jail, I went to jail for murder, I did this, I had sex traffic rings, like there's things people will say and you don't want to like them ever, and you'll avoid them in church ever, and you know they're saved, you know they're not that person, but you can't overlook what they did, and you're like, hey, I'm glad God saved them, but I can't be around a person like that, I have kids, or I still don't like them. When Jesus forgave them, and they became new, they aren't that predator. They aren't that person. A lot of predators, they were once innocent victims that got traumatized and now deal with this mental illness that causes these horrible things. They're not monsters, but they now have monster tendencies they lived with. Jesus healed them, and now they're like Jesus. They're living in love. And some of these people, actually a lot of these people, will now become some of the greatest advocates for Jesus, be the greatest fisher of men for Jesus. These are some of the people that are going to be the greatest protectors of other people moving forward, that are going to be these fisher of men. Like, when God saves someone from these pits that did these horrible crimes, and they get saved, the power they have to save others is a power that we don't have unless we walked that walk. When, a gang boss goes back and he, found Jesus, he's recruiting all these other people that were in gangs and helping them get out of it or preventing them from going into it. Like, these people that are the monsters that are getting saved have the most impact. And I'm not going to say the most. There's lots of people that never did anything wrong that have just as much impact on the world. But we need to notice the impact of the good these people bring into the world after they're saved. We need to realize that these are the people God is using. We need to realize we need to stop judging them. Because if you're in church and you're avoiding these people whose past you know about, you're not living like Jesus. And we're not creating the right church environment. My church did. My church nailed it. I wish every church in the world could be like my church. We create an environment that anyone could share anything. I could get in front of that room and I could tell the whole church family everything bad I've done in my whole life. And I will walk and sit down. Not one person will not want to be my friend. Not one person will judge me. Not one person will view me different. Everyone will say, thank you for sharing. Everyone will be inspired that all the bad things I did, I now gave to Jesus. And anyone that came in there, if they were like, I was a felon, I was this, I was that, they could tell the worst stories in the world. And our church family is going to say welcome and love them and treat them how Jesus would. Because when God saves those people, those rippling effects are huge. So those are the people, as church families that aren't mine, need to start to learn and get behind those people. You need to get behind the sinners that were saved, because those are the people that, if you stand behind them, they could reach into the world and do huge things. But they need to know they are loved, accepted, and forgiven, not just by Jesus, but by their religious community. They know they could talk to all the people still living the bad life and be accepted and praised and cool. But they don't need to feel like they could only talk to the people unsaved. They need to know they are backed by their church. They are backed by the prayer warriors that are praying for them, that they are backed for the people. Like, your church family is sending you into the world. They're backing you. They're your prayers. They're your support, your emotional support, where you go to gain your strength. So the people that were so-called bad that are now saved, you need to get behind them and know that their church family accepts them, forgives them, and views them through eyes of Jesus, so they have the strength they need to be fisher of men and keep bringing people in. Because once we're bringing these people in and saving them, that's step one. Now they have to feel accepted into our community. You can't bring 20 people that just were 20 murderers that got saved and bring them to the community, bring them to Jesus. They know they're saved in Jesus, but now they're rejected by their religious community. And it's like a wedding, like his and her side, and it's like the bad and the good. There can't be segregation. There can't be the good and the bad. They need to be so embraced that when they come to church, we are like, we're so happy you're here. We want you to speak at our church. We want you to share. We want people hearing how God saved you. We want to hear the testimonies of you were so bad. You did the most heinous crimes. You were the worst of the worst. You're going to stand in front of this room and say things that would, in the natural, shame you to your core to admit out loud. And you're going to do it because you're doing it in Jesus's name of showing I was this bad and God saved me. And he made me who you see in front of this room today. And that's the power of the testimony. That's going to give that rippling effect out into the world, is accepting the monsters and building up the monsters. And these so-called monsters are the ones with the strength to save all the other ones. We're not going to go in as the people that never had a bad day in our lives and save the people on the streets or save the mentally ill or the people in jail. We're going to go in as I was that person in jail. I was that mentally ill. I did do horrible, heinous things. I could look someone dead in their face, shoot them, and go sit and eat dinner with my family and laugh like everything's fine. You know, those are the people that are going to be saving all the other corrupt people in the world, turning a big difference. Because I'd rather have 10 horrible people that, like, horrible past people that were the worst of the worst, fighting for Jesus, touching the lives that only they could touch. If each of them touch even the lives of one person living a horrible life, that's a win for the kingdom. Like, you know what I mean? That is power. I'm going to read today's message. It is May 1st. My son's... All right. Anyway. Overwhelmed by great things. You'll need to focus on my unfailing love for you as you face troubles in your life that tempt you to doubt. I am your God yesterday, today, and forever. I will care for you until the very end, until you see me face to face. I am with you, rejoice in that alone. There is no need to worry about the future if I'm the one leading and guiding you. Every obstacle you face is driving you to me and making you more aware of your need to be dependent on me for your hopes and desires. Don't allow your difficulties to cause you to doubt. Just rest in your dependence upon me. I will provide you with all you need. All you need is me. Don't be anxious. Just pray and talk to me about your deepest desires and the hurts of your heart. As you trust me to heal your wounds and answer your prayers, stand firm in your faith and hold on to the hope I give you. Allow my peace to comfort you as you wait upon me to overwhelm you with great things and to be continually filled with joy. The Lord has done great things for us, and we are filled with joy. So I like that it is still going with the concept of joy, because like I said, I was sensing the Lord wanted me to have joy, and that was then confirmed by Tim. I'm just more and more trying to stay focused on the future and process everything. I'm spending much more time in silence throughout the whole day. Even when I'm sitting next to Adam, I've been mostly in silence because all of my time is going with Jesus, of processing these big changes and switching gears. And I'm really looking forward to stepping into my ministry, and I'm in one of the best places in the world to actually do it, because there are some parts of Mississippi that they actually consider them another country, even though obviously it's not, because they consider it a third world country, because that's how I guess the areas are. Like I said, I've never been, so I don't know all that much, but I heard there's towns like Greenville and some other areas, another one that starts with Greendale maybe, that are known as like being compared to some of the worst third world countries in these areas, and just lawless areas, and the most murderous places in the world. And I'm just set up in a beautiful location to do ministry of I didn't get out of the country, but to basically brought the issues of these other countries right to my backyard. And I think God's going to use me in a powerful way. I've been being called very strong more and more each day into ministry. And like I said, when I went to Elam Bible Institute in college about 10 years ago, it was to become a Christian motivational speaker. So that was always on my radar. And now I just feel like it's the time to do it. So I'm going to just keep trying to be a fisherman. And there's a ton of gangs out that way. And I want to just keep touching the hearts of all the gang leaders and all the people in the gangs. And so when I was a kid, my favorite movie in the whole world, and my parents will tell you, was Sister Act. So I used to watch Sister Act literally every single day of my life. And then when Sister Act 2 came out, I would watch Sister Act 1 and 2 back to back. And this was literally every day of my life. I couldn't go through a day without watching Sister Act. And guys, look up the movie. Great movie. Highly recommend it. But the gist of the movie is there was a woman, and her name was Dolores, and she was dating a mob boss. And already interested. And she witnessed him do a murder, so she had to go into witness protection. And they put her as a nun into witness protection. And when I was a kid, I really wanted to be a nun. For many years, so that was another reason I watched it every day. I hated men. I did not want to ever get married when I was very young. I never wanted a boyfriend. I just wanted to be a nun and live amongst all women, and I wanted to feel safe and protected, and I knew there was no safer place in the world than being surrounded by women and by God and being a nun. So just for many years of my childhood, I always said, God, I'm going to be a nun because that's where I'll be safe. So watching it every day, and sometimes I'd watch it more than once a day, and I watched it again recently. So anyway, the whole point of the story is, so she ends up changing the band. She makes the church go from empty to full, but then she branches out into the neighborhood and makes this really bad neighborhood very beautiful. And we're right outside of the neighborhood of Holcomb, which is a 500-person town, and it's very underbuilt. So I just keep this image of Sister Act in my head when she went out and made the whole town better. And I just keep pressing into that with God, that I want to go and make all of Holcomb better. And not just Holcomb, but as far as my community would be considered Holcomb. So I want to make that better in the sense of opening multiple stores, keeping the prices very fair because it's a very, very low income area, but having every single thing from the garden, but all the stuff. I'm going to create my Amber Meadow line and all my sauces, my bruschettas, everything. So I want to have some stores in town, have all the holistic stuff, the CBD stuff, all of that. Again, just really fair prices, but start building up the community. It's so inexpensive to get any stores there. I could probably, I eventually, not that I'd ever want to get into politics and stuff, but like I want it to be that a significant amount of the town that I built up. And I do strongly believe my YouTube videos are going to be highly successful and make a great deal of money. So with that money, I want to just keep building up the town. I want to build a children's community center. I want to build a church. We have 2 houses that belong to his grandma that we're knocking down that are both in the town of Holcomb. So there would be 2 lots there, and there's a 3rd lot they have that we could start already having property there. But again, it's so cheap to buy any of the stores. So it's very, very, very realistic that I could build up that town. And then sister actually built up the town and just brought God to the whole town. So that's kind of really what I see. And in a town of only 500 people, to bring God through that town, to build up the stores, to put money into everything, is really nothing. It's completely doable. And it doesn't even involve God having to be the God of impossible, because it's so probable. It's not even far-fetched. It's super cheap. It's right there. The land's there. The property's there. The ability to buy all the stores are there. All the finances are going to be there. All the products already there. I might have I talked to Adam about it, but, find some of these young gentlemen that are in church trying to do the right thing, but, need a safe place to spend time. I'll probably wrap up some of them and start bringing them onto the property, and they could do work for taking home any produce they want, anything on the property, and, I'll pay them a little bit, and then they'll have a safe place to go, an outlet, be with nature, be with God. So that's definitely one of the goals, which that's not even, I shouldn't even say a goal, because it's something I'm going to 100% do and make happen. And with the amount of land there is, and the amount of work, there's always forever going to be stuff. And then I'll eventually have, find some people, again, that are trying to do the right thing, but really struggle with the life area they're living in, and I'll have them running all the stores, and I want to try to bring more jobs in, but I really want to keep it to a lot of these young adults that have the option to go into like these gang lives or lives of crime, but give them an opportunity to be touched by God and go another way. So I'll definitely be bringing some businesses to town, without a doubt, and a church, and hopefully a community center. And I want to do as much as I can, just like Sister Act that she did, to build up all of Holcomb. And then with ministry, I want to reach out into the surrounding areas, and after building up my community of Holcomb, then start branching out into Greendale and Greenville, some of these very dangerous areas, and bringing my ministry to there and doing some speaking there. And I do believe I already will be able to get some openings just with the size of his family. And a lot of his family is very, very, very spiritual. It's the South, so Jesus is pretty big there. So I believe all the right doors will open for some speaking engagements. So I'm just, again, focused on God today and all day, every day, and want to keep encouraging everyone to surrender and letting God use you, because you never know what God wants to do through you. And you're not just healing for you. You're not just healing for your family and friends and loved ones, but you're healing for the purposes of which you were born, such a time as this. Like, God made you born exactly when you were born to fulfill the purposes he gave you in this lifetime to fulfill. So you need to partner with God, because I believe I'll help a lot of people. And I can't do that if I don't partner with God. And I wouldn't just be gypping my loved ones, but I'd be gypping everyone that God wants to help through me. And I'm not going to gyp God of who he wants to work through me to help ever. I'm going to spend my whole life as a vessel of God, every day, every second of my life, saying, God, use me. I'm going to go wherever he calls me to go. It doesn't matter if it's dangerous. It doesn't matter if it's scary. It doesn't matter how I feel. It doesn't matter if I feel ready. I didn't feel ready for a moment of these 8 months. I don't feel ready for anything necessarily, as in the sense of it was all strategically planned out, and this, I didn't add to my list like get super sick and lose your kids and have no ability to ever work again and pay rent and lose your housing and move to a place you never lived and meet your husband when you're at your absolute worst and go start the second half of your life. None of that was planned. But here we are, and now God could use me to go help a lot of people because I surrendered. So you got to surrender too, because the more of us that surrender, the more of us God could use, and the more of us being fishermen, the more people being brought into the kingdom, and the less violence, the more love, the better the world will get as all of us do it. And the key is we surrender and the world gets better. So every single one of you, as you surrender, you're literally making the world a better place. You're literally having rippling effects for everything around you, your community, your family, generations to come. These rippling effects are the rippling effects of Jesus. So just partner with God and keep going and just keep pressing on, and that's it. You know what I mean? So, bye guys.